that's hiding in plain sight. It's called the New World Order. Is this a plan or a conspiracy? We'll dive into this and more this week on LOL.
Coming up.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro. Welcome to Leading Out Loud, which we like to call LOL, the one psychic shift show that talks about the things that maybe others aren't talking about, and certainly from the perspective of something wonky, astrology and the psychic awareness. Hey, buddy, it's good to see you, Scott.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
Yeah, it's going all right. I mean, how's the new energy? Pluto's in Aquarius. How's that feel for you?
That's our psychic surf report. It is inside out energy. I think we're going through a lot of change right now. The sun is at step 29 Scorpio. And so things are edgy today, I would say. People are edgy because we are defining the final edge.
Yeah, I feel it too. It kind of feels like pieces are trying to be put together, but it's kind of hard to get it together. So I'm feeling that a little bit too this morning. Had a couple instances as well.
Yeah, totally. And this week we're going to dive into the topics of the New World Order. We thought it'd be appropriate considering that President Trump or President-elect Trump is back. Pluto's in Aquarius, so that's a big shift of consciousness. Who knows? We might even hear about Q again and what's happening. That'll be interesting to see. And we just thought we'd give our own look at this whole big view of things, especially on the cusp of Scorpio ultimate power into Sagittarius, which is belief or not. But first, let's dive into the energies of the week, which you've started already. Energetically, yes. Astrologically, it is our psychic surf report is a little bit wonky because we do have a lot of big major things happening at the same time. As you mentioned, Pluto has moved into Aquarius and out of Capricorn for the rest of our life. That's it. Thank goddess. I myself, and I'll talk about it in a minute, how I felt about it. And the sun is now moving into Sagittarius here in a couple of hours. So we're going to feel the end of like crazy Scorpio energy into like, cool, let's get stoned and go for a Bob Marley ride Sagittarius, which I dig. But this month in Sag, Scott, we have a lot of retrogrades. We have Mercury retrograding in Sag, which is the mind inside out, so to speak. So, Mercury retrograde happens, every 3 months or whatever. Not a biggie, but it's through Sagittarius. So it means that we are really rethinking what we believe in. One of the reasons why we chose this topic for this week. But then we have Mars retrograde from December 6th to February 23rd, which means our ego will be deflated as well. Yeah. So the upcoming month is going to be a deflated mind and deflated ego. And it's curious to see what's going to happen. And then we have all the deflated people who didn't feel like they got the election right. It's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a happy Christmas. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Right. People definitely coal in the stockings, right?
Right. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Your holidays are screwed. No, actually, I think it's a good timing because I feel like it's a good time to like get back to our roots. And I've been saying this kind of like past couple of weeks. I've been feeling that. So I think it's a good time for the holidays to get back to the roots. And I've been feeling a little bit of that too, as well as kind of like remembering the things I've done when I was in my childhood. And that's been coming a lot in a lot of my readings as of late too, is like going back to your roots, remembering the past and bringing that excitement back in, that cozy energy in. So I feel like it will be more actually good for the holidays and Christmas and Thanksgiving to go back to the roots. So yeah, I think it'd actually be a good thing. I mean, it depends on the people who are, wanting, resisting that or not. That could be maybe bad for them if they don't want to go back to their roots,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if we build a tower of cards and they've come crashing down, so you go back to the roots, I'd say back to the beginning, back to the drawing board, that kind of thing.
True.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's review last week. What have you picked up in the last week? We had the final degrees of Scorpio. Today's the 29th degree of Scorpio. Scorpio is about drawing the line, especially this part of Scorpio is about drawing the line for the future.
Right.
I have never been in so many arguments and boundary skirmishes in my life, in business, in partnerships, and in friendships and stuff. I mean, and even in family. I basically was happy to walk away from certain people in my family going, that's it. I've done a whole lifetime. I'm done. Like, I don't know. I really don't want to invest anymore. It just doesn't change ever. You don't change ever. I don't change ever. Fuck it. And I've always been like, let's all get along. Let's all be happy. And I'm like, screw it. I'll talk to you in heaven. I don't care. So it's been intense, this final negotiations of the sun in Scorpio. What have you seen with your clients and in your third eye?
The same thing. I have seen a lot of chapters being closed.
Mm.
I would say kind of things being revealed. Like I was saying last week, kind of like the masks falling off. You're hearing that thud, and like people showing their true colors, but not just other people showing the true colors. Like your true emphasis of what you really feel is starting to become true. Because, like you said before, we've been glossing over a lot and saying, "Oh, I just want to keep the peace," and we realize we can't do that. That's not possible in all situations. So sometimes that fragmentation is necessary to put people in their places, in a sense. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean like energetically, in a sense. And so it actually can end up avoiding conflict. So yeah, that sometimes you gotta break away from things. I've been seeing that a lot with my clients too, and external friendships. For my personal relationships, it's been kind of like reconsidering my approach to understand that if I can actually allow myself to be more flexible too, that sometimes that's also revealed that how stingent we could be too. So that could also be a positive thing to loosen up. So I've noticed that too this week. But I think what you hit on the head in that sense of like really kind of setting those boundaries now, and it's not about playing nice anymore. You know, not
Yeah.
that doesn't mean too for those watching. It doesn't mean that you're being mean. It just means that you're accepting things for what it is.
Yeah, I'm not faking my orgasms anymore. Like I'm just that's also what it comes down to. Like I'm not gonna pretend that I'm enjoying it just for you. I just can't pretend anymore. And before I used to. I mean, it wasn't even pretending. It was just like holding space until they understand. Like
Yeah.
waiting for them to get it or waiting for something to change. And I feel like that has just ended now. It's just like that's it. I'm done.
Right.
Uh,
That's
and
the thing too.
also,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, like, we think that because we're like all like positive that we have to keep, being intertwined. It's like sometimes we just have to go off and do our own missions and journeys and such. And so, if we're not seeing that, then there will be conflict. I would say energetically that kind of, it will break us away if the energy is not matching. Someone has a mission over here or someone has a mission over there. Like we have to be more conscious of when we need to go off and do our own things too. So it doesn't become a very tense, negative experience, and that we blame people.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting because this kind of leads into today's topic, although I won't dive in too early. But this idea of we all have to get along, like we all have to live together and under one roof and under one religion, under one nation, is really just, I think, an attempt to control us under one easy umbrella.
Yeah.
Because foxes don't hang out with rabbits. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things in nature where they don't hang out; they end up being killed. I
Yeah.
like the Texas policy. You do you, and I'll do me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
stay in your own lane. Get off my property. Like I kind of like that energy. We
Well,
don't
there's more
have to.
respect. There's more
Right.
respect that way because if we understand, like you're doing your thing, I'm doing my, there's a respect. We don't have to argue. We don't have to fight. We're trying
Right.
to mix too much and blend too much and make excuses. That'll never happen. It just creates more conflict and judgments. So I agree with you on that.
And the
You know,
whole point of being alive, we're all one in heaven. We're all connected literally. I can't get any privacy up
right?
there. Jesus Christ. I come down here, I want a little freedom, I want a little individuality. I want to be able to do my own thing. That's the whole point of coming down to earth, is to
Right.
separate.
Right. But also too, I see. I love seeing people that don't think like me, but I like seeing them not living the same life. It's interesting to observe. I like to see that dichotomy, and so
Hmm.
I won't blend myself with it, but I learn a lot from it, and I love that diversity. So many people want the diversity, and they think that means that we're supposed to like integrate with everything, and said that causes a lot of conflict. And I see a lot of people who want diversity, but then when we have like a nation divided, right, on political ideas, and it has to go to the states, then they complain about it. I'm like, but that's the point of living in a diverse country. We have such separate ideas that it has to be left to the states. You don't want them controlling and dictating everything, right? And so I think that we have to understand the parameters of being so diverse, so we can actually, if we want it, we have to be able to accept it and live in it too,
Hmm.
so
Totally. I had a conversation through Wendy Kennedy with the Palladians,
mm,
which literally she goes in trance, and I'm talking to the Palladians, which is just a head trip in itself. Really cool to talk to an
yeah,
alien race through a
yeah,
person. You got to be there to believe it. But the Palladians are talking about how unique Earth is, and the one thing about the Earth, because we're all tied, the Milky
mm,
Way is all tied together. So we're all big one family. There's like 12 chromosome sources that
right,
created humans, all this stuff. But the Palladians said, we have the gift of a couple of things. One, we have the gift of creativity.
yep,
Apparently, other species cannot be creative like we can. They
right,
also don't have the divine connection straight to God. Other species are like insects in the sense that they don't communicate with God, they don't have the
right,
higher realm connection, and they can't create. And the
right,
Palladians said, "We're very curious about something." And I was like, what is it?" And it was like, "Why is it that when you have the ability to create, that you all keep copying each other?" I was like,
mm,
well, that's a good point.
mm,
We see that as
mm-hmm,
a complete waste of your opportunities. I'm like, you're right. Why
mm,
do we copy each other? Why are we
hmm,
trying to be the same? Kim
hmm,
Kardashian and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be like them. Just
right,
be yourself. It's funny. It's like God gives you the creativity and you become the same. Well, Go live,
Right.
on Sirius or something if you want to be that
Right.
serious.
Well, that's a conflict. That's a challenge because we come from this perspective of being source. All that is, right? We understand this, and we're all connected. So that we that's our battle, not battle, but our challenge is to be like original too, but also inspired, but also connected. I think that's a great mastery. That's why we're here. So it's
Mhm.
difficult because when you understand we're all connected and we feel that inside, it's hard to detach from that. That
Oh
energy or
yeah.
mind at least. You know.
It's sophisticated boundaries. I mean, what you just described is really the end of Scorpio. Sophisticated boundaries, to
Right.
be and not be.
Right.
I also think that anything powerful spiritually is paradoxical. I am and I'm
Right.
not.
Right.
Um,
100%.
totally. And so I think we're mastering that. The Earth in Taurus on the other side of Scorpio is us manifesting the new plan. Okay, that
Yeah.
full moon that we had was a doozy last week. I mean, shift hit the fan for me, man.
Yeah.
I was bitch slapped by the universe. It was really bad. It was not. It was tough, and
Oh
it conjoined
shit.
Uranus, so it's kind of like it really set in motion. It really, first of all, created a lot of debate about what we're doing. Like serious stories, like no, we're doing this, no, we're doing that. Like
Right.
so, there was a lot of argument on what to do and what not to do. But there was also, for me, I noticed a lot of decisions. A lot of separations. Like okay, we're not. I
Yeah.
don't need to be on your. I'm unsubscribing from that. You just go ahead.
Right.
Good luck, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
well,
there's.
I've been seeing that. Like I've been triggered. I would say triggered, but I've been kind of like easily agitated by people being so judgmental in, a very free community, right? And so when I see people being so like stuffy and like I don't like that, and so I'm not following it. It's like, well, then this is freak. This is passionate. Spiritual is about inclusivity. It's about everything. It's not just one parameter walk of life. And so yeah, I've been tested this past couple of weeks after that, that astrological boom, so to speak. But I've
Yeah.
been really kind of standing up because I really think that we as spiritualists, especially in the spiritual community, we should be embracing all of that,
Totally.
you and I were talking about that before. It's like, yeah, it's astrology, but it's also the psychic, it's also the mediums, the tarot readers, it's all the above. We want to unite and bring together, not separate, So I've been seeing a lot of people trying to separate that aspects in spirituality. And I'm like, that's not what spirituality is for. That's not what these platforms are for.
No, you know who's got it? The gay community. I love the gay community. Seriously. You go to a gay club, you're accepted. It doesn't matter if you're dressed as the opposite gender, if you're half naked, if you're dressed, if you're wearing a suit, if you come with your wife and kids, it's all good. Everyone's having a good time. And it's funny because the gay-friendly people, gay people will be like, okay. Like they won't necessarily think it's great, but they won't kick you out either. They're very cool. Like, okay, whatever you're into, honey. Like I love that conscience. I think in a way, the gays are like totally pioneering like how the world needs to come together.
Have you
Like,
been hanging around the gay community? Because that honey came out very, very, very natural for you.
Okay, yeah. Well, I know I'm accepted. As I'm here with you, buddy, yeah, I'm just gonna absorb into it.
I mean,
But
the
I
thing
just
is,
think it's a great
yeah.
model. I mean.
Yeah, our community, and we're very protective too because of what we've endured, right?
Yep.
And so, but I think that I think any community too, like even people who call people rednecks and stuff like that, I found really good country groups that are so open and welcoming and loving too. And so, I think any group that's in it to win it and in it to just be themselves is going to be very very warm and inviting. And I said this before, Christopher, last I think it was last episode, that I think the next couple of months we need to find the individuality of what group that we really are in, so then we can allow other groups outside of us to do their thing too, and then we can like commingle, easily without judgment or being triggered. Someone got triggers. I wear hats. Someone's like, posts the comments like, I can't watch someone who wears that thing on his head. I'm like, it's a hat. Like, what the hell,
Yeah, that's interesting. That kind of stuff is so funny to me. It's like, whoa, your day is abrupted. Your day is interrupted because of that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, because of a hat
yeah.
or because fiddling with glasses. So, but I think that's what this time is for, though, because the wonderful thing is I want people to understand like those irritations are going to reveal to you probably what's been holding you back.
Well, 100%. And besides,
Simple.
those irritations represent the shit going wrong in you. Like, let's not forget how this works, folks. We are, I believe, asleep in heaven right now, and this is just a dream. And so in this dream, you're getting pissed at Scott's hat? Seriously? Like, that's what you're doing with this amazing discovery? And it's like, P.S., you must have a thing about hat, or you're losing your own hair, or, you didn't get your... There's something going on in you that makes you not like that hat. And if you think for 1 second that the hat's the problem, You got to learn a little deeper, my friend. There's a lot more going on, you know?
But Chris, don't you think too, and we'll get into our topic too, but don't you think that it's also important for us to maybe stand up to those things, not to fight or bigger, but just to call it out? Because I think those things go on too much. And I feel like in our community, there's new people that come in and they see things like that in comments or whatever. It's like they're coming in new to get away from that. And so I feel like that, it's time for us who are, in leadership of spiritual communities to kind of like call those things out, because I don't want people who are just falling in to think, oh, here's another judgmental group again, right? Or here's another judgmental aspect. And I think if they see someone like calling that out and saying we don't do that here, it helps others to kind of feel comfortable, that there's not somebody so judgy or so critiquing, and so we gotta stop doing that. I think we all have parts where we're overly critical, but I think we have to be more conscious in our communities with this.
Well, you're speaking to Pluto and Aquarius. I mean, when Pluto was in Capricorn just a few days earlier, I was worried about drawing because Pluto is the line. Pluto's the line. Pluto's where you draw the line. It's the final line of the solar system. It draws a line between our solar system and the rest of the Milky Way. It's the final barrier, so it represents the barrier. And the sun is the source of us. So from sun to Pluto is the soul's system. Pluto defines the edges. Well, Pluto's in Capricorn for 15 years. And so we're trying to define edges in like basically Capricorn energy, which is a fucking mountain. So it's like, drawing a line in a mountain we're afraid of avalanches. We're afraid of being crushed with our power. We're afraid that, someone will turn against us. But as soon as Pluto went into Aquarius, I was all like Scott. I was like, no way. I mean, like, I am not going to, seriously, I had no problems just saying like, no, it's not, no, the answer is no, like no problem. I didn't care if I disrupted or anything. I just suddenly had this power to call a spade a spade. I think so. I feel like we have that power now. I mean, the universe is supporting basically what belongs and doesn't belong is what it is.
Right.
To me, it's vibrational.
Well, someone here says, I don't think you need to call anything out unless you're triggered. That's not necessarily true. I mean, when Jesus saw those barring in the temple, he abruptly and very forcefully pushed them out. I don't think leading means you're triggered if you're calling something that shouldn't be, right? Because then it's just like, then we just ignore everything and let people just be chaotic, and that's okay, and excuses it. No, I think people need to stand up and start, confronting. It's like we shouldn't have to only do it in extreme circumstances. If we see someone fighting somebody in a store, we just sit back and say, oh, you can't step up because that's triggers. Like, no, you're defending what's right. And so I think we do need to learn more of that. I think the complacency, the pacifist spiritual energy is not healthy for us, to be honest with you. I don't think it's healthy.
I feel like we have, in the structure of astrology, and the way I teach it is that, Leo is love. Okay. So Leo is love, and the opposite of Leo is Aquarius, which is where does that love belong? So Leo is love, and then where does it belong?
Right.
And the simple moral truth to me is, hey, if this is loving, it belongs here. If it's not loving, it belongs hell over there.
Exactly. Doesn't mean you're triggered. Doesn't mean you're triggered. You're responding to that, or just especially or defending yourself over that. It's just calling it out. I think that energy's energy. Energy festers, man, and we don't. Every time you throw words out, you're passing a ball of energy to people. And so, what are you going to do with that when someone passes you a ball of energy? You can take it, throw it back, or just turn it into something else. I like to convert it and just call out what it is and redirect. And sometimes we have to do that. I think just too many people, just don't let it bother you. I'm like, but then that continues, so so we do have to have discernment, though. It's not every time, but I think most times it's good to take a stand because other people are watching. Other people are looking at those, those interactions. And so sometimes you might do something that you stand up for someone that someone else feels appreciated about. So I've been more aware of that. I used to keep my mouth shut about all that stuff, but like the spirit just saying, no, take a stand. And
when you were two, because I've never seen you keep your mouth shut, first of all. And I've never seen you, like, it doesn't have to be all the time. When I hang out with you, it is all the time. You're yelling at squirrels, people writing parking tickets, like, anyone is not, I know. You're dropping zeros everywhere, man. No, I'm kidding. He's not a grouch, but he doesn't. He will minimum turn to you like privately, like, can you see that? Can you see what that's happening over there? Like, you will. I'm not complaining about it. I think it's
like wanting things to be in harmony. And when you see someone like creating disharmony, it's like, I don't like that. Like, things need to be in harmony. You're creating disharmonious energy, so.
Totally. And I'm teasing. I'm just, giving you some shit. It's fun.
I know, but that just feeds the people who are upset about my hat. That just feeds them. Oh, see, he gets upset,
We love it, folks. It just raises the ratings. Keep it up. Please insult us.
It's fine.
Please. Okay. We're going up in the YouTube ratings as every insult.
Yeah, but we're just explaining the cycle that we're in. It's bringing out that
Right.
energy, and we need to be focused on individuality, so we're not triggered or upset by other people's things, so we then can come together. So I think the remaining of this year, the next couple months, I think this would be great to nestle in, go back to the roots, and so I think it's a good time for that actually. So just to button that up, right?
Totally. Well, Pluto's in Aquarius for 24 years. I
24.
mean, basically, you
Or
and I
just
will
19.
be
Okay,
just as good looking, but older. But it's going to be, I mean, 24 years. I mean,
yeah,
the last Pluto transit was 15. So because Pluto has like this racetrack, like long, elongated racetrack around the sun,
right,
there are some signs where it's in a sign much longer than other signs, not an equal Pluto universe. So
right.
Pluto always kicks the shift out of Leo and Aquarius. So this is one of the two
Mm.
longest that
Hmm.
Pluto like works to re-architect the boundaries. And so now we'll be re-architecting this for 24 years, okay?
Mm.
Which means defining what belongs, what doesn't belong. And my
Yeah,
point was, what belongs is when Aquarius says it. If the waves go together, it belongs. Okay, it's like if they two birds of a feather that flock together belong.
I belong,
If
right,
they're not on the same beat, if you're if you're playing jazz in a rap concert, you don't belong. Like it's
right,
so simple. The frequency they get along or they don't, right?
right, right.
And it doesn't mean the other one has to die. You know what I mean? It just means they need to get over there on that
Exactly.
side of the room. You
Right,
know?
right. And I've been trying to prepare my clients for that coming in too. That's why. So people just think that, oh, he's just being, stuffy Aquarius. It's like, no, I'm just want to prepare you because because we're going to start seeing more of that. I want us to be in flow with all that, not in
Yeah.
opposition.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we don't. I mean, aquas will like snap at you, but then they want to be back at peace in like 2 seconds. Like it's a little lightning
Mm.
fart, is what it is, and then it's over. A little kind of painful, and it's over. Um, so we shift. Actually, we move into Sagittarius today in just a few
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
And Sagittarius is the collective, is your belief structure.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And one thing I want to just put out there right now is that we have the wrong belief about beliefs.
Mm. Hmm.
There's this basically, I believe that you had like the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity, and they took over the world and they started killing people who didn't believe and blah blah blah. And then you had this other huge organization that came along, science,
Right,
and science said, oh, if it can't be proven, doesn't exist.
right,
And so we had this idea that it has to be proven by fact in the world to be true, and if you
right,
can't disprove
right,
it, blah blah blah. It's like inside out logic. If you can't disprove it, then I can't remember how to
right,
go there. The problem with that is that's not how God works. Okay,
right,
you have to believe before you see it. That's how it
right,
works. You have to believe. And bullshit, scientists, don't tell me that when you set up an experiment, you don't have your own opinion and believe what it's going to turn out to be. You're trying to prove
right,
what you already believe. Come on.
right,
You're
right,
not all objective, like, oh, I'll see what the truth is. Every scientist I've talked to is like, I think it's going to be this. I hope the evidence plays out.
right.
It's never been like, oh, let's just see what it happens to be. It's never
And
that. There's
there's a
always
lot
a
of things.
belief going into it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that they can't prove. They can't prove that I'm thinking a certain thought. They can't prove my emotions. They know I have it. Could they prove that it's actually true that I feel sadness if I'm holding it in? They can't do that. Doesn't mean the thought or the emotion doesn't exist because they can't measure it completely. I mean, they have lie detectors, but they can't use it in court because it's not completely 100% verifiable. So you can measure things, but doesn't mean because you can't completely confirm its, validity that it doesn't exist. So there's a lot of that in science that we haven't expanded on, and they're trying to measure non-physical things with physical things, so you're not going to find that in that way. So yeah, I agree, and I think that's kind of the breaking down this new order, right, is really for people to understand. I think we've been seeing a lot of that in society, that science has kind of given two responses to things. It's this and it's this, like, wait a minute, which one's the real study? And so I think part of this new world, breaking down of the spiritual new world, is that we're starting to recognize that we don't know everything, we don't have everything measured, right? And so I think more and more people going based off their experiences, their undeniable experiences. And so to me, the new world is like all about the fake science, and then the new world spiritually is like we're breaking down that modality and we're focusing on our own spiritual experiences, and that it doesn't have to be measured to validate my experience. You
Well,
know,
I personally feel that science is the study of magic. Like
I
that
agree.
ultimately
Real science.
they're
Yeah.
watch these vapors, measure this, biatch. But I feel like the problem with science is that it corrupted people into thinking that they had to have proof of who they are, that they
Right.
had to have proof that they could, if you believe in your heart you can be a great singer. Where's your proof? Fuck
Right.
you, man. Like, that's the whole thing, is to stop us down, is to control us, right? I
Right.
feel like, because honestly, 99% of people believe because their heart feels it's true. Their heart feels it's true, and so it is. But I feel that your heart feels it's true, not because there's proof out there, because your heart intends to manifest that as proof. This is what your painting is going to be. This is what your creation is going to be. That's why you believe in it, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're taught like, well, what are your facts? Facts? I haven't even manifested this shit yet. Why? How am I going to have facts? I mean, it's to stop us down, So my point is we're going to Sagittarius, and I feel like in this, with that Mercury retrograde and that Mars retrograde, what I'm going to be pushing as serious joy is the fundament of like, hold on. Before we talk about beliefs, let's talk about what you believe about beliefs. Do you believe you need proof to believe it?
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I always say it's not your beliefs that that are holding you back. It's that you believe that's holding you back. Right. And so I think that we have to really have like a very small template or default set of beliefs. Like, I don't kill, I believe, and everything else should be open to perspective and how you're perceiving reality in life, and go from there and broaden your view, because I just think beliefs are so limited. We have so many of them, these little linear, points of view, and you can put them together. There's still like a very narrow point of view. I've been banning having beliefs so long ago that I just think that I have a template of certain default beliefs, and the rest is like, I want to keep expanding my view on things, and then catch myself too about like what I'm maybe following that's a subconscious belief or not. But I think that's part of that too. I think people are going to be abandoning majority of belief structure, especially with Sag coming in, being that airy, free-spirited energy, right? And so I just keep seeing people on a road trip and just kind of with their hands, and the hair, blowing in the wind, and just being free-spirited this way and saying, it feels right for me. There's no reason that I need, it just feels right. And I see a lot of that expansion,
Right. And we from what I understand in the heavenly perspective, let's say you believe that humans are your property. Okay. You believe that. And that's what you believe in your heart. Like they were born to, work for you. Okay. From what I understand in heaven, the only rule is you have to always experience all points of view if you start with one. So it's the full 360 of going around the circle. So
that's right.
If you believe humans are here to serve you, then you will also be reborn to believe you were here to serve humans.
100%.
God consciousness is like, okay, you can take that belief and every belief that associates with it. So to me, belief is simply, Sagittarius arrow is it. It's a perspective you're firing your life along. Just as a trajectory of from here to here to here to hitting that bullseye, and they get washed. It doesn't matter. You have these strong people with strong beliefs. They don't have proof either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even the ones the scientists are like, they don't have proof of that you're right or whatnot.
Well, it's also they're based off faulty logic though, because a lot of these beliefs are created from their past like experiences, and a lot of it's from past unresolved trauma. That's not reliable if it's spawned from that. It's a very limited perspective. So, I mean, we have to see like these beliefs get created by default if you're not being conscious or perceptive what's going on. So
totally, yeah, right. So like if you went down the Titanic, and the next life you don't believe you should be on a boat. Well, obviously, what I mean? Like a lot of it's just like obvious past life conclusion, as far as beliefs are concerned, and they'll fight to the death about this. And what gets me is this idea of trying to overwhelm someone else's belief. Like, if you are trying to convince someone else, you're weak. Because if you need someone to go along with your belief, you're not a very good believer. You need other people to go along with it.
That's true.
And this idea of my beliefs are better than your beliefs. Okay, right there is a false belief. There's no. It's all what you want to paint on the canvas of human life. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is the experience of following that belief to the experience it brings you.
100%.
So I feel in this Sagittarius season, I do have an astrological reason for this. I feel like we're really going to be fundamentally looking at the concept of beliefs itself. Like really questioning some deep philosophicals with Mars retrograde and Mercury retrograde, because Mars and Mercury retrograde, those two assholes are the ones that cause all the trouble. Your mind and your ego are always conspiring. Okay. Your mind will egg on your ego. Like, do you see what he did? Do you see what he said? He goes like, what are we going to do about it? Like these two sides of yourself. Well, God's going to make them both limp. Okay. For the next 6 weeks. So I think people are going to be walking around like sludge factories, feeling uninspired and not knowing what to do. Really what's happened is we've had our two key like parts of ourselves that fuck it up all the time, be drugged by the universe with a retrograde. And in that, it's interesting. We'll see where people come out, especially, after the presidential shift, and clearly the power is changing. And with Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius, I felt it as soon as it went in. Did you feel it?
I did. Yeah. I mean, of course, of course I did, but I want to dovetail what you're saying too off that,
Okay.
because I feel like a lot of people will deprogram, but they forget to reprogram. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And a lot of times people spend so much emphasis of letting a belief go. It's like, well, you let it go when you expand, your perspective. Then you can easily let go of that limited belief. So I think we just should be spending more time to reprogramming and the emphasis. Oh,
yeah.
what are we reprogramming to be? And so yeah, I definitely felt. I think the day of, I definitely felt this kind of like opening of my heart chakra, kind of just like feeling like compassion, but also the other end of that compassion, the heart chakra, was the zeal, for like doing what's right and saying for what's right. So I felt I felt a lot of that come in too, and so, but yeah, I think I find that balance as well. And I'm doing tonight on my live show. I'm going to go through all 12 signs and see and forecast for each sign what that would mean for Pluto and Aquarius. The beginning of such. So catch me
I'll
tonight,
have,
my live show. Actually,
I'll have
nice
to
little
tune
plug
in.
there, huh?
I'll have to tune in. Yeah, I felt Pluto and Aquarius. I mean, I felt Pluto and Aquarius the first time. I was in a bad spot at that time.
Mm.
But this last time, I was in a decent spot, and suddenly I was just like kind of like Popeye eating spinach. I suddenly was like, "Thank God!" I mean, I felt
Yeah,
I finally had a right to be contrary.
yeah.
Like
Right.
it's giving me the power to say "fuck no." You know what I mean? Like
Don't you like it? That feels good, right?
it feels very good. I think I'll be an Aqua next life. Just saying. I think I'm aiming for that. It's really fun. But I felt it. But I think what it's doing is it's allowing you to create a line between energies. That's what Pluto and Aquarius does. I mean, Pluto
Right.
allows you to create a line. So Pluto and Capricorn was all like, we're creating a line between the rich and poor. We're creating a line between this and that, and we'll talk about that, in our next segment. But Pluto and Aquarius is like creating a line between a vibration, which is like, no, that vibe sucks. Get out of here.
Right.
Like what vibe? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like it
Right.
gives you that strength to just kind of drop that line and step
Yeah.
away.
And,
So
I've been doing that a lot too since it came in. Like you see people like mistreating someone in the store. I'm like, hey, don't talk to someone like that. You don't know what they're going through. Like I've been standing up more than I usually would, and being a voice in that way, because sometimes I feel like I feel like people need to feel like they have protection too, or feel like they have a voice. I think people are so not wanting to touch things and not wanting to offend people. They won't stand up, and at least stand up for someone who's maybe, weak-minded or in a position they're not able to stand up for themselves. I've been seeing a lot of myself being put in situations like that lately too. And the person's like, thank you for saying something, and being thankful for that. And so I feel like, Pluto and Aquarius is going to be doing a lot of that, which I don't know how I feel about that, because I'm usually just kind of, keep my peace, don't say
he wants
anything.
a piece, but he will disrupt if necessary. I have this
If
philosophy of
necessary.
I believe in the law of attraction. If you attracted me into this moment, then you want to be schooled. Like that's what's gonna be. You should have attracted me in this moment because I'll go school you. You're my space and time. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like that's
Right.
my attitude. Like it's divine order that I'm here to tell you
Right.
you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Right. And
But
if you're like offended by my bluntness, then you need some edge in your life, honey. And
oh
bring some
yeah,
edge and bring some roughness around the edges. So, yeah, I think that I say too, Christopher. What react to, we relate to. So somewhere deep down inside, we're craving for that energy. So
there are no accidents
no,
ever. Okay, like if you are in the same room with someone, it is absolute destiny. 100%. There are no accidents. It's a
yeah,
brilliant construction of consciousness from God universe. So
right,
yes, you're meant to be there. Yes, you're meant to speak up. It's whatever you feel your heart belongs. You
right,
know. So I'll wrap up the astrology point just saying this upcoming week. All right, we're going into the early degrees of Sagittarius, which are the degrees of whether or not what you believe about yourself. Okay,
mm,
and I just want to underscore this is where the controversy is. When it comes to yourself, it's what your heart, step one, feels, step two, is true. What your heart feels is true.
right,
That's you. Okay, your heart feels it because your heart identifies with it. A
right.
lot of us are coming from brainwashing, okay?
Yep.
Where our parents are like, "You're no good, you're this, you're that." And the society's like, "No, no, no," like, and we heard it so many times, we started to adopt it as a false belief. It's a false
Hmm.
belief. It's a self-limiting belief. If there's a
Right.
belief that you have that shuts you down, it's false
Right.
because the
That's right.
nature of the universe is to expand at an ever accelerating rate. Okay,
Right.
everything in the universe is expanding. So if you have a belief that shuts you down, that closes you down, that makes you smaller, it's false.
Mhm.
Nothing
Or
from the heart is going to do that.
make somebody else smaller, right?
Right.
Because I mean, our whole thing is to be in that broad perspective. I say the God perspective, like all has to exist for a reason, all connects for a reason. So yeah, if the belief is shutting you down or shutting anybody else down, we got to observe that And I think we all, I mean, no one's perfect. I think we all we go through that battle sometimes, right? Because like we were saying before, the fight for the challenge of being individual but collective at the same time, we all fall, privy to that type of, challenge of trying to decipher, the criticism of ourselves and others and shutting things down. So yeah, I definitely want to contribute to that. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
So in this next week, as we move into the week, it's simply, you're asking yourself, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe is possible? What your heart feels is possible. And in that construction of what is possible, you realize your mind is off. And
Right.
I got to tell you, the mind is programmable, folks. It is not smart. The mind is a dumbass. It's so dumb.
Mhm.
If you don't tell it 5 times, it doesn't fucking remember or add it up or anything.
No.
It's just a tool, kind of like a penis for ideas. Like it's just to get ideas pregnant. That's all it
Process
is.
it.
To write
Yeah.
ideas down, to erase ideas. We have been falsely talked into this idea that the more you can memorize, the smarter you are. Bullshit.
Right.
There's too much data.
Right.
So get out of your mind. It doesn't know shift.
Right.
Okay. Your
Right.
heart, what you feel, that's true.
Right.
And you can look it up in the
Yeah.
spiritual dictionary anytime you want, in the higher
It's true.
self.
It's
So,
true. Our soul needs to be programming the brain. I would say the soul knows
100%.
where to go. The soul's a programmer, so you can't let that brain program on its own by default because of experiences, and because you have to let the soul be that programmer.
Right. And that's the same thing of like science going, this is fact. You got to prove it. First of all,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of a medicine test where like they have one group that doesn't get the medicine and one group that does
Right.
get the medicine?
Placebo effect.
The
Yeah.
placebo effect. Do you realize that this is the average, it never gets out there. Half the people in the placebo cure themselves.
Right.
On average. Half.
Right.
Half.
Yeah.
So
I
half
know.
that didn't take it every time. This is scientifically not scientific proof. Half those people who thought they had the medicine actually heal themselves 50%
And they
of the time.
measure. And the thing is, they measure based on the unmeasurable of the placebo effect. They still use that in science, but they can't prove what's occurring there. They just know the placebo effect. They're acknowledging that someone could believe something enough to where it manifests tangibly.
Right.
Bashar, a long time, when I used to watch Bashar, he had a story where some guy was dying of prostate cancer. They gave him 3 months to live. He prepared, to die in 3 months, and he died. And they did an autopsy. He was misdiagnosed. He didn't have prostate cancer. You know what I'm saying? He really believed and prepared for it, and boom, it happened, but he didn't have it. So, I mean, yes, we can enforce a lot and infiltrate a lot of energy based on what we believe. That's why I think we need to be more cautious of these belief structures that we possess. I change them like underwear, so.
Yeah, you do. Thank God.
You know, so
underwear collection. You've only seen his underwear collections.
Yeah, so, but I think that we need to be very conscious. I think Sag is a good energy to do that right now. Go back to when I say roots too, I also mean the core. The soul, in the core of our soul. What we really feel again. What are we feeling again?
Yeah, we have a person asking, "Aren't we here to learn discernment?"
Absolutely.
No. I mean,
you don't think we're here to learn discernment?
what are you discerning? I mean, you're discerning what you've created, right? Are we supposed to discern among other people's experiences or our own?
Well, I'll say this as a psychic, right? Because I think like right now, like psychically during Sag, people will feel more intuitive, especially going back to the core. So I think that it's not that we're here to learn discernment. I think we need to have discernment. I guess I'll put it in that context because of the diverse energies that we have and the connectivity. So yeah, we need to have discernment. I don't know, we're not here to learn it. So, and I guess that depends on the karmic journey that you're on. Perhaps in your past lifetime, you're very gullible. So maybe this lifetime, your karmic lesson is to learn discernment. So that could be very individualized based on your karmic path. We all need to have it though and be aware of discernment. But I wouldn't say we came here to learn it,
This suggests discernment as in looking to the outer world as your evidence. No. No. No, I'm sorry. We're not discerning between these people and that people and this president, that president. It's what your heart feels this way, it happens, and what your heart feels this way, it happens. That's the discernment. You're finding and exhibiting keen insight and good judgment based on your heart's feelings, not on what you observe in reality.
To me, that's what discernment is. That's what discernment is to me.
Right. Well, I don't think that's the common definition. I think common definition is like,
problem.
Let's explore what they've done and what they've done. And it's just like, and we'll discern what is about. No, don't base any of your life on other people. None of it.
Oh yeah, no. But see, me discernment is what you said. Like, what does the heart feel about the matter, right? And
Right.
like, we have all this like information wars using discernment to know, okay, that's fabricated, or this feels like it's biased, or this feels like it's set on. I think we need to have discernment in that regard. We're exploring in a soup of diverse energy, spiritual energy. So a lot of us are not so perceptive about all that. We do have to have discernment. But yeah, if it's trying to measure the outer world, no. But I think spiritually, discernment is coming from it's just intuition. It's just
Well,
intuition.
again, what you see again, you're an evolved discerner. Like you're discerning from the vibration your heart is telling you. And
Right.
so I feel this commercial, don't feel good. I feel this commercial. I'm feeling me. I'm not sitting there
Right.
going, well, let's look at the sex. And let's look to see who has the ingredients and what this, stop that. You know what I mean? Like, shut up. Like this feels good. This feels bad. That's a discernment. You
So
know,
then, we have the discussion is that people have to understand what true discernment is then, because
right.
people probably people are not thinking discernment as far as processing. They're not the discernment is just intuition. Your intuitive response is what discernment really is.
Yeah, I
To be
think
able to
to
see
me that's how
through.
you. Yeah, totally.
You know.
Well, speaking of discernment, we're gonna give you a great topic to discern from. But first, a nice promo here for ourself. Serious Joy is doing the White Light Friday sale. That's right. Retailers call it Black Friday, but here at Serious Joy, we are rebranding it to the Friday based on the White Light Friday sale. On Friday, January 29th, Serious Joy is offering a special sales promotion. You can get 2 months of Serious Joy for just $3.99 a month. If you've been a Serious Joy subscriber before and would like to come out and try the new service, we have reset your status to new customer, giving you the ability to sign up for our introductory rate. Now, we are a spiritual life coaching service, if you don't know. We use your personal date of birth to curate a highly personalized spiritual life coaching program. You have to watch it and try to believe it. If you're not worth $4 a month, I give up on you, okay? Our service sends up to 10 messages per day on your smartphone or web browser or email address, coaching you into seizing the day and the best version of yourself. We also have a plethora of other features and subscriber perks, such as a daily audio podcast called The Daily Pep Talk. We have music sound healing with Kristen Ryder, basically helping us with music and using music and sound to elevate. We have the Mega Monthly Show that gives you your monthly horoscope. And as of recently, we have now casted Mary Magdalene on the site. I shit you not. The wife of Jesus is coming through this woman named Krista Marie. Again, you got to listen to believe it.
Fantastic.
Don't take my word for it. All these features and more for just $3.99 on our White Light sale, going live Friday, November 29th. Use the promo code White Light Friday. They're like, did we make that simple? We did. Okay.
You did.
All right. So that brings us on to a very lighthearted, fun topic: the New World Order.
Dun, dun, dun.
Last week we discussed Armageddon, and our efforts to keep things light. We're now going to dive into even something lighter, the New World Order. And just to give you like a definition, the New World Order is a conspiracy theory in which adherents believe that a cabal of powerful elites is secretly implementing a dystopian international government structure that will grant them complete control over the global populace. Under this regime, dissidents will be arrested and masses enslaved. Supporters of the conspiracy theory claim that most global leaders are now complicit in this establishment of the New World Order, adding that the NWO, through manufacturing of global events such as the coronavirus, for instance, and mass shootings, and controlling their associated narratives to sow civil unrest. So this is the theory, okay, out there that there's a New World Order out there. Now, I have seen President Bush say New World Order. I have seen many presidents say New World Order. I mean, I've saw a clip of clips of that. If anything,
It's on the back of your dollar bill in Latin. If you look at the back of your dollar bill on the pyramid, it says New World Order in Latin. So it says it on your dollar bill.
Jesus.
So
I think YouTube already hates us, so we're just talking about the truth here now. As far as it's concerned, and I also think that now I feel a little bit safer talking about these things actually with Trump. I mean, pro-Trump or anti-Trump, it's like you can officially be a jackass and get away with it. My president's doing it, so I get to do it. Like I'm going to do it too. But I have to say, just in fairness, first of all, I don't believe in a conspiracy. I just want to say that right now. The word conspiracy was invented by the CIA potentially. I don't know if you heard this or read this,
right.
But it was there. It was put out there as a means. I don't even remember when they came up with it or whatever. But conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory, folks. It's a business plan. Okay, that's what I keep telling you. It's a business plan. Like, there are AT&T conspires with Sprint. Okay,
right.
People conspire all the time. Scott and I have an agenda you'll never know and understand. We've conspired. Everyone conspires. It's not a big deal. Let's get out of the definition of conspire.
Yeah, it's just
But
it's just a very vague, terminology used to, just to invalidate something. But it's just the terminology itself just means to conspire. So what does that mean? Just people gathering for information. But yeah, I think the whole thing, everything's been labeled conspiracy. I think that we're saying before, but information wars. I mean, you look up something like, for example, is cheese healthy for digestion? You have all these studies saying it's perfect for digestion, and I'm just making this up. Or and others say it's horrible for digestion. If you look this day and age, there's so much conflicting information saying about one thing that I think that's a part of the control to get people so confused and harder. And to go and we talk about discernment, we have to have discernment to sift through this dichotomy of information, because it's like I get just as much of saying pro versus con on everything now when you search for things, and so I think that's part of the plan too, keeping people confused, distracted.
totally, the facts are always changing. I mean, cholesterol is good for you. Cholesterol is bad for you. Well, this cholesterol is
Right.
good. Like, God damn it! Like, you call yourself
Right.
a scientist, you can't figure out cholesterol. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Low fat is bad, and now high fat is good. It's like it's always been just a way to make money, because then they can push the products of well, fat free, then that didn't work. Now it's sugar free. Now it's all this carb free stuff. It's another way to kind of spin the mechanics of our economy too, I think.
totally. For me, when I heard all this conspiracy stuff come out about New World Order and stuff, at first I was like, no, that's stupid. No one would be that evil. Now I'm like, oh shit. Apparently it's a full-time career. Like the World Economic Forum broadcasts their plans. Like they broadcast it. There's no hiding or anything. Like I actually saw a WF video where they were talking about how like glasses could control the brain of your employees. I'm like, are you shitting me? Is this what is this, Mr. Burns TV from Simpsons? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. So for me, the hardest part to believe was that people would spend their time being so dark and negative and controlling. I mean, that's so boring. To me,
Right.
to control someone like a robot, it's like,
Well, I think people have to understand like kind of the structure, because there's a pyramid on the dollar bill for a reason. All the peers, like your mundane people doing, and the higher you reach up to that top of that pyramid, and you see everything, and you control money, you control, and it doesn't have to be necessarily malicious. It's just that's their way of they're finding where civilization need to go, and they could be thinking in their own minds, this is positive direction where civilization needs to go. But who are they to decide that, and who's confirming that, right? So I think that we have to have discernment to like people watch the news. I'm like, no, watch the World Economic Forum. They're telling you everything they want to do on the global scale, one world government, one world currency, all those things. And so, we need to be more perceptive about that. Again, whether or not it's an evil plan or just people have so much power, so much money that they think they just can dictate the flow of civilization. Either way, that's not healthy. If we're not in on it, or if we're signing away our rights unconsciously because we're so concerned about the Kardashians and whether or not, stupid
I'm not concerned
mundane
about the
issues are
Kardashians.
important,
Yeah, kiss my ass, Kim. I don't care. Like, I really don't care about you or your
But
fraternity father.
it's those distractions, because we're not seeing what's going behind everything that's going on. We're fighting about mundane issues that will never get solved, right?
Right.
And
Or-
as they're
yeah.
pulling the strings,
No, you're totally right. I mean, honestly, do I psychically feel there's a conspiracy or a business plan to rule the earth? Yes, unfortunately,
Of
I
course.
do.
Yeah.
I do feel it. There's evidence everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, where do we start? The World Health Organization.
Right.
Okay,
There we
you
go.
assholes in one little building in one country are going to tell all of us what healthy is? Who
Right.
elected you? I didn't
Do you
elect
see what they
you.
look like? Do you see what these leaders look like too? They look like the most unhealthiest people on the planet. They look like golems and ghouls, and I'm like, is that what health looks like?
There is a lot of people who are really unhealthy in that organization, but and the idea, I mean, during COVID, where it's like this, who the hell are you to tell me what's going to be healthy in my body? I'm sorry, that's just way overreach, and that's what throws me over. Is like, for instance, Bill Gates releasing genetically modified mosquitoes to kill malaria. Asshole, who invited you to reinvent a species? Okay. Windows DOS still sucks. You only have shown me that you don't know what you're doing. And now you're going to fuck with it with our food chain? You know what I mean?
With our meat, like engineered meat. Do you know they put that out there too, right? There's some places that people have shown videos where they actually put the synthetic meat out there that's not labeled as Beyond, but like that whole, what they call it, lab meat. There's some out there that people have been finding. Actually, you have to read the labels on things because it might
Oh,
say like
oh, really?
lab grown or something like that. You have to be very good, like look now at your labels and make sure it's not like a lab grown meat that they're just throwing out to test on people. To see if they even make notice it or not.
The beef thing is a good point too, because you can see all these weird agendas. And look, I know it's not nice the way we treat animals, but we can do it a lot better. We can let
We
them
can.
raise, and they can be happy cows and roam free and have a natural death, and then we eat them. But the truth of the matter is, from what I hear, there's no nutrition in our own vegetables anymore. There's no nutrition in our own soil. The only nutrition is actually in the meat. And
Yeah.
now there's this huge plan to eradicate beef, you know what I mean, and to eradicate this stuff. And I'm all for us going vegetarian. I eat mostly vegetables with a side of protein. But at this point, the reason why I'm gonna have a side of protein is because I'm afraid that damn vegetables don't have any nutrients in it.
You got to grow your own.
I
I have
know.
been so like not attracted to vegetables like I used to be anymore. I don't know why. I've been just not eating like
Sexually
Japanese
attracted?
eggplant. Like
You and
sexually attracted.
kumquats have always been really
No, the
close.
eggplants, Japanese eggplants, the longest one.
Mm.
And so it's better, fitting. So, but even with organic, vegetables, like they're spraying in the stores
I
bleach
know.
on it,
I
even the
know.
ones labeled organic. And so,
Right.
we have to, I think self-sufficiency is very important, that we maybe grow your own garden, grow your own crops. And I think, it comes to times where I think we're going to kind of have to do that now, and become
You
more
know,
sufficient.
I was saying that before Pluto and Aquarius, but now I'm changing my opinion, going Scott on this. Assholes, we pay for you. Change it back. Like, I am not going to spend my life growing vegetables. This is not Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah,
I
but
want
you're
things
one,
delivered. This modern technology. It should show up nutritious in my
right?
grocery store now.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
except
mean?
90% of the population don't care like that, Christopher. 90% of the population don't care. They just want it given to them because they're too busy in their 9 to 5s. And they don't see it like that. They're just like, food's there,
I feel
So
like though,
10% of us,
yeah. No, they're not eating food anyways. They're eating Doritos. And they're
right?
eating anything in the middle of the grocery store that doesn't need refrigeration is poison. Okay,
Right.
anything that
Yeah.
doesn't need refrigeration is poison. It's very simple. So unless
Yeah.
you stay on the outskirts of the refrigerated part, you are basically eating crap, as we all know. All chemicals, all kind of stuff. There seems to be, I love that RFK has been appointed by Trump. Oh God, help the world! Because the first thing he was saying recently, by the way, was like, no more fluoride in the water. No more fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
really
you
reversing
did
things.
see, you
What's
saw the
that?
recent scandal, though, right, Christopher?
Oh,
Do you see
great.
the
What is
recent
it?
thing of him?
What is it?
They were all eating McDonald's on a plane after UFC fight, and they're saying, "We'll make America healthy again tomorrow." And even RFK's eating McDonald's burger and Coca-Cola. I was like,
You know
yep.
what? He's a
Okay.
recovering heroin addict. Give him a break. Okay. I'm addicted to McDonald's too. If I smell those goddamn chicken nuggets, I have a hard time passing by. I just don't
I
drive
would.
by it. There's like ingredients in that stuff that we are all addicted to. We're addicted to flavors. Taco
Yeah.
Bell. I don't know what it's doing to me, but I
Taco Hell,
sometimes
you
end up
mean?
calling. That bell rings around 10 o'clock at night. And I just can't stop myself.
Yeah, Taco Hell in the afternoon. But I just think like if you're representing that, I think it's a bad message to send. Especially if
Oh,
you're, you know
do
what I
we
mean?
have to live perfect, Scott? I feel like, first of all,
Yeah.
I don't trust something without flaw. So even a flaw, a flawed diamond's worth more than a manufactured perfect diamond.
Yeah.
Like to me, there's always a little flaw, and it's okay. I don't think
I
we should be
agree.
like,
I agree, but like if you're making a point for something and that's you haven't even begun and that's what you're doing, it just shows that politicians are kind of making fun of us, I feel like. And that's why I think that people have control over us so much with our food, because we think we're revering the right people, but we're not, and nothing's really changing. So hopefully, it is one of those situations, a one off, but
I
we
don't
still
care
have
if he
to.
was eating a Big Mac off of a hooker's butt. Okay, like if you get rid of fluoride in the water, I'm for you. You know what I
Sure.
mean? I don't care. Like I feel like we're judging people way too harsh. Like who
Well, I
cares?
don't know
Let
about
yourself.
that. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but my whole thing is just saying that I think we should be learning more self-sufficiency, like, and growing our gardens. Why would not? Why couldn't we grow our own fruits and gardens and stuff like that? Why can't we do that? And why can't we, clean our own water? Like, I think it's time that we don't give so much reliance upon it, is the point I'm trying to make. You know what I mean? And that we
That's
do
nice,
find
but
ways.
I don't have time to fucking farm right now, man. I can
Well,
barely
you
make
have
the show
friends.
on time.
You have friends that will help you for it, and I'll
Uh,
sell you some fruits.
no,
You know,
we
I'm
did not
very.
come this far with technology only to like go back to Little House on the
I
Prairie and
know.
have. I'm
I
not
know.
doing it. I was thinking about it for a while, like we'll go independent, we'll be off the grid. I'm like, no. Let's take back the grid. What the hell?
I agree, but it's hard. I mean, we're in a process where if it was that easy, I mean, you understand, Christopher. Many people are not awakened to that.
Well, it'll
And so
take time. Yeah.
it's going to take time. Yeah, it's definitely going to take time. But I think self-sufficiency kind of it puts a dent in the system for me, right? Because then less people are supporting that, less people are, and so it puts a dent. And then they're going to have to maybe. I think that's the way you bring the change, in a sense.
You know what? I think still I'll farm when the Tesla bot will do it for me. Like I'm just not going back there. I lived in the fucking beginning of this country. I was a pioneer. I've had the pilgrim lifetime. I'm done. I don't want to go back there. But it's
Yeah.
okay. There's other things too, just to like keep on our topic. One
Yeah.
is digital currency.
Right.
Now, digital currency smells damn suspect to me, y'all.
Yeah. A little bit.
I'm sorry, but this video game says you're rich, so you are. Like, oops, power outage. Now you're not rich. To me, that's damn stupid. That's just stupid. And I'm all for people who are playing the Bitcoin game, all this stuff. Like, play your games or whatever, but realize
Right.
one solar flare and you're broke. One solar
Well,
flare and you're
yeah.
broke.
I mean, it's really easy to wipe it out, but I think Eric does cryptocurrency, and they have like secret like things you move it to that has
I
your
know.
own encrypted thing. You know what I mean?
Your
So
own
I
wallet,
mean,
and it's like it's all there, but it's basically you're in Vegas bank gambling. I mean, go
it's
ahead,
it's
make
how
your
you
money,
measure it,
but you're in Vegas
right?
gambling. It's a risk.
It's a slippery slope, my friend. When it comes to
Well,
that, but
plus it's tracing
um,
every transaction. Hello. If I knew every place that dollar had been and every fucking, thing of coke it had snorted, I would freak out. Now we have a currency that's actually going, oh, and then the dollar went to you, and then the dollar went to him, and then it went to this process. And then, like, no way. Like, to me, that's way
well,
too much information tied to a dollar
right.
or tied to a coin, you
Well,
know?
also thinking too to even measure like what you purchase if it's carbon neutral or not. They have ways to do that now
Okay.
too. And
Okay.
if you're
Don't get me
doing
started on
carbon
carbon.
neutral, then
Oh,
you get like discounts and stuff. So I mean, it's a whole integrated system. Social with social scores, combining all that. It's
to me,
cray.
that's a measure of control. I feel like intuitively, I'm just
Yeah,
saying intuitively.
it's invasive.
Here's
It's
the truth.
invasive.
I have gone to science classes, y'all, in universities and gotten A's, first of all, okay? I have gone and educated. One of the things that they found is they went and took an ice sample in Antarctica, right? In the North Pole, the ice sample. Guess what? Carbon has never been lower.
Right.
It's never been lower. We've had
Hmm.
more carbon in the air in the past than we did in the present. And by the way,
Hmm.
there was an ice age when there was more carbon.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I don't buy it. I think carbon taxes comes down to this. I think there's two factions of power in the world. I think the oil companies have a lot of money and a lot of power, and the other side, whatever that is, don't like that.
I
And
agree.
they want to tax. They want to
I
tax and
agree.
control
It's
the
political.
oil corporations, the oil money.
Yep.
Now, should
Yep.
we be on oil? Should we like? It's dirty. It's like it's like smoking a cigarette while you're giving childbirth. It is gross. I mean,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, I don't buy the carbon thing. I don't buy
No.
that we're being overwhelmed by carbon. And by the way, we need carbon. It's what plants eat.
What it is, right?
So we're cutting down plants, which make
It's life.
oxygen. And what do they eat? They eat carbon. They need
Yeah.
carbon in the air. Yum, yum, yum. So
Yeah.
it's like the problem is we're cutting down the trees that eat the carbon, if anything. The problem
Right.
is not that we're putting too much food in the air for the plants.
Well, carbon
You know what I
carbon
mean?
is
Like,
life. You need
to
carbon for
me,
life. So yeah, it's just it doesn't make sense. But it's just overly politicized, and I think it's just more about money making.
I think
One
it's about
side of
controlling the
politics
oil
is
industry.
one side controls oil, the other side does not. So it's just a fight about politics and trying to get people to be empathetic about our planet when it really has nothing to do
Totally.
about that at all.
You know what? I was gonna hang out with
Yeah.
someone last night. Couldn't get here because his fucking Tesla wouldn't recharge in time. No offense. I know you just switched out of it, so you're on my side,
I
buddy.
just switched out of my Tesla. Yeah, it was a lot
I'm
of issues.
sorry. I'm not. No way. I want something that fires up, regardless of the grid being live, regardless of. No way. Like the push also to electric. It's like, yeah, it's cool. It's noble. Let's drive around a golf cart for the city. But I
Right.
wouldn't bake my life on it, man.
Well, the thing is, I mean, there's been a lot of issues with it. Them exploding. The Tesla then
Minor
exploding. And so
issues.
how's
Starting
how's
on fire,
that?
combusting. Yeah.
I don't. For me, it's just like I did get Tesla initially too. I thought I want to get out of a gas vehicle for that fact, but I just think it's not there yet. And I also feel that it's just too connected. Like I don't. They can really take over the driving thing, and so
Oh yeah.
it's just
Elon Musk gets one little text message and every Tesla shuts down.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people, as you've seen, and even in France, there was a major accident. A car could not stop. It was driving 100 miles down the road and exploded and hit something and the driver's saying they couldn't control the gas. It was doing it itself. And Tesla's like, nope, wasn't us. So there's been a lot of those instances that I feel like if it's perfected, okay, but I feel like it's still not there yet, to be
Look,
so seamless.
they say your cell phone is emitting EMFs and all this other stuff. So I'm going to go sit on a plate of EMFs and drive around town. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like we're now sitting on a cell phone and driving around. Seriously? Like, I don't get it. Plus, not to mention the evil mining that necessary for the rare elements. You know what I mean? Like, we need all these rare elements. We're going to dig deep in the earth, tear up Mother Earth, make her look like she's got acne. Like, just so what? Like, here's the other thing, too. We have the money to scrub the emissions. In the 70s, they added filters to all the mufflers, decreased pollution by like incredible percent.
Right.
They can do it again. Like, we can put out. Plus, there's hydrogen. It's like, don't get me started. But the point is we're actually on New World Order. I guess I'll do a two-part on this because we're almost running out of time here.
Right.
But I think that's one. Another one, is we just have to say, is you had said this too. The borderless countries.
Yep. One world government. Yeah.
Just let anyone roam around without any problems or whatever. Borderless trading. It's like, no, I think we have to put up fences. Good fences make nice neighbors. I'm not saying people can't go back and forth. I'm just saying not at will. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, I'm all for. America's the melting pot. That's what I love about it.
Right.
One thing I hate is being in too much of a white place, like where it's all white. I just get so bored. I want culture, I want flavors, I want people, I want spice. So I'm all for that. But the fact that the fact that we have the idea that like we're basically relying on China for our medicine because it's cheaper. The idea that we're gonna keep borderless countries and we're not gonna have any tariffs or anything like that. So when I need an aspirin, I'm gonna fly to China.
Right.
When I could have made it right here in town. And by the way, that's using a lot of gas and fuel. So there's a lot of controversy and paradox there as well.
Well, that's what I think is a problem in America, though. I think everything is so condensed and spread out too much. There's so much unused land. If everything's kind of spread out nicely, we live comfortably, we wouldn't have to there'd be so much around where people can have accessible to us. It's too condensed here and condensed here and condensed here. And there's not things that are spread out evenly to where we can actually have cleaner air and less of travel because everything's spread out nicely and dispersed nicely in our country. So I think that's another issue for me, is that we're just so condensed in so many large areas and then nothing in between. I think they said you can fit all of the United States comfortably in the state of Texas, they said.
Texas would kill you, but yes, that's cool. That's true.
They kill you, but we can
like, get off my land. But there's a lot of theories about that, and one of them is like fourth dimensional beings in the sense that everything is gridded in a city like a circuit board, and it's like there's a rumor out there that we're all living on top of each other like the Matrix. We're basically all of our energy and power is being concentrated so it can be harvested.
Right. I've been a big conspiracy theorist on energy harvesting for a lot of things. So I wouldn't doubt it. I would say. I
can't do the heavy city thing anymore. I just can't. My head hurts. I get overwhelmed. That's why I like where we happen to be right now, brother. It's like because it's like California, but it's not hugely populated. It's just spread out, and
I can feel though. I don't know, Christopher, if you notice this. Like when I'm in big cities, I can feel like a wavelength. Where my mood, you know what I mean? There's some wavelength, I don't know. And one time I woke up, I heard a high pitch, but only when I moved my head a certain way, and it wasn't my ears because I would close my ears and hear it. And I'm like, what is this like high pitch? And like that day, everyone was like acting crazy. So that's another conspiracy, is frequency wars, right? And I think that they could be generating certain frequencies at certain tones that affects people's moods. And because how is it I see collectively in one area people doing this, acting the same way and fighting, and then the next day it's gone, and so I think there's a lot of that in cities. I feel like a tone that changes my mood, and I feel like I have to swim through it a lot of times. Being very conscious of that.
Oh, I mean, I end up drinking. I cannot handle it. I'm not kidding. Because I'm overwhelmed. It's like I can only take about I went to LA again not too long ago over the summer visiting people who work with us, and 2 days in I was sick. Like I just could not take the energy. It's just too much. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's a lot of clearing out there to do. But actually, Scott, we're out of time, sadly. It's been an hour of business plan conspiracies, but we'll have to bring up this topic again. Yeah. Let us know what y'all think about it. We're going a little risque here at Pluto Aquarius. Do you have any announcements? You have your show tonight.
I do, yeah. I'm going to be talking about, and yeah, and we'll close with the resolution, all this, because it's just us being aware about what's going on, right? With these things, it's not to be like doom and gloom. It's like we are rising above. We're awakening spiritually. So clearly, when we awakening, the challenges also increase too. So I think in this game that we're playing, the fact that the challenges are increasing shows that we're evolving too. So it should be a very positive confirmation to us, and we're going to make it through. We're going to fight it through. We could talk about next week of how we're going to do the new world order in the spiritual version, how we're actually rising up from all these paradigms and such. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that too on my live show tonight. I'm going to go through each of the 12 signs and kind of just generalize how it's going to forecast, Pluto and Aquarius for, at least for the year coming ahead, and what to expect and how it's going to trigger your own psychic abilities and psychic awareness too. So I'll get into that tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it. And agreed. Scott's show is great. If you guys don't know, you can also get a question answer for him. For an affordable price too. So it's very hard to get a question answer from Scott, even when you were co-host with him on the fucking show. But,
I'm so chill. I'm so like, when I'm home, I'm just so chill. I'm like playing fun music. I'm a really chill person outside of work. So
he is. I can vouch for that. But what was I gonna say? Oh yes, and I think I agree. Like, to end this on a positive note, like all things in the world, the dark defines the light, right? The internet was built on porn and child trafficking, and now it does all these things. The New World Order, this idea of all us coming together as one, yeah, I think you set up some nice ideas there. We'll take that now, thank you, and we'll do what we want with it. So I feel like this is all playing in our hands, but I also think it is time for us to wake up and smell the coffee, right?
Yeah, so I agree. So it's all good. I mean, a lot of people understand these things too. A lot of people are just like, they know it, they feel it, but I think that discussing it helps validate people who are using their discernment, like something's not right here. So I think it's important to talk about these things for sure.
I think it totally is. And now that we, have it, now that we just have a different, now that people are refining at the top, we can start talking honestly at the bottom again. So us carp are going to have some interesting conversations. It's going to be great.
Right.
All right, friends. Well, I guess that wraps up another fabulous show from us. Thank you for being patient with our little being late. We had some shift going on, but we'll be back next week. And until then, remember, folks, don't put up with a shift show. Lean out loud.
Lean out loud.
See you next week.
Bye, beautiful souls.
Whew, they actually, we got away with that. Wait, I think YouTube is officially banning us right now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't think we had enough content to talk about. We didn't even get through half of it.
No,
actually.
Yeah, well, I think Pluto's just opened our mouth up to unlimited bullshit.
Unlimited. Yeah, unlimited purge.
Speaking of purge, is that what we're going to do after we eat Thanksgiving next week?
Oh my gosh, I'm ready to eat. Eat.
Yeah,
my mom's making a meal.